VET S.O.S. Veteran Educational Resources Spotlight. Remember, don't drown the sea of transition. Grab the VET S.O.S. Lifeline. There we go. All right, off to a good start talking. VET S.O.S. is brought to you by the Who You Know Network and proud members of the Parade Day community. As always, I'm here with Dr. Hira. Dr. Hira, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to have this guest. I've had the opportunity to have conversations with them and very excited for them to share about their school.
Yep, this is going to be a good one. Today we're sitting down with Michael Barany, the director of the Military and Veteran Success Center at Stockton University. Previously, he was the Veteran Service Assistant, then coordinator at Middlesex College. He served in the Army as a Cav Scout for 4.5 years, completing 2 combat deployments to Iraq, totaling 27 months. Must have been part of the stop-loss extended tour
the surge
party.
The surge, yeah.
Following his military service, Mike pursued higher education, earning associate, undergraduate, and graduate degrees within criminal justice and national security studies. He also holds a Doctor of Science in Civil Security Leadership, Management, and Policy. Before transitioning into higher ed, in 2018, Mike held multiple roles within the security sector and worked within organizations to include Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Department of the Army, United Nations Women. Since 2016, he also served as the adjunct professor at New Jersey City University, teaching a range of courses in the Professional Security Studies program. How you doing today, Michael?
Good. Thank you for having me again.
Definitely excited to have you on here. Just really looking forward to this. We recently had a conversation and the program, one of the specifics of your program is just phenomenal. I can't wait to get to that. So let's start with your transition out of the military. Real quick, how did that whole process work and what led you to wanting to work in higher ed?
I got out of the Army February 2011, and I'll be honest, I had no ambition of going to school. I got out earlier than I anticipated, and I was lost. I only went to school because I heard I had a GI Bill. And I started at a 2-year school following May, and I went from May of 2011 to May of 2019 getting 4 degrees. Got my associate's year and a half, bachelor's year and a half, double major for my master's in 2 years, and got my doctorate in 3. Kind of fell in love with school, the security sector. How I got into higher education, I was working for UN Women, and I had a friend die by suicide, good old Army buddy, and I was thinking about what can I do for more vets, and just so happened to be I went to Middlesex College, formerly Middlesex County College, and they had an assistant role open up. I'm like, you know what, I just want to do that. I want to work with vets. I want to leave everything I'd done, which was a big transition for me and my family. I just did all my degrees in security, right? So my wife awesomely supported me, and I started working with vets in higher ed, and then I ended up where I'm at now.
It's funny how you do that, right? You go and get all these degrees and different things. You're like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yep.
It's never a waste. You just gotta, you now know the student journey from start to end, right? Like that's what it is. You've seen it in every phase, and you can help inform, and guide others. So it's all right. And the loss you speak of, I think, is so common in the community. It's so hard. But, again, you felt it and you said, hey, I'm going to go back and I'm going to see how I can help the next person out. And, that's obviously the community is lucky that you came back and are working in this space and, again, running the program that you're doing. So let's talk about it a little bit. One, how many military connected students do you have roughly?
We have roughly around 375, 400 at any given moment. Spring is usually a bit down, so we're about 375, 350-ish.
Okay, that's not bad at all. What's the total population at Stockton?
About 8,000-ish or so. And in our office, we have 2 full-time staff members, including me, working with all those students.
Nice.
Okay, so without talking about the one program, I want to save that to just highlight that by itself. Tell us a little bit about the program you have on campus. Do you have some sort of center? Are there special things you're doing for the students, that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
So we're located in what we call our F wing. We have our own center, and attached to our center is our lounge, which is when I started at Stockton, it was during COVID, and it was super empty. It was nice getting work done. And one of the downsides about having your lounge attached to your center is you don't get work done easily, which is a good problem to have, right?
Yeah.
So just this year alone, we were at over 2,000 swipes into our area, and those are the ones that the students that actually want to swipe are
Mm-hmm.
and it's really amazing to see the students commingle with each other. Especially, it's like that awkward, you're new to college, who do you know? And then by this
Yeah.
semester, BSing in the lounge, having fun. Doesn't matter if they're a dependent, current service member, veteran. They're all together. A couple things that we're proud of is recently, about a year ago, we changed our affinity group for our students from like student veteran chapter. I forgot exactly what it was called, but now it's called military affiliated students of Stockton to be more inclusive of our dependent population. Since about almost a third of our military connected student population are spouse or children of veteran service members. Secondly, one thing I love to focus on is our VA work study program. I'm pretty sure you know what the VA work study program is, but when I got to my institution, they weren't utilizing it, and
Mm.
we went from having 2 federal work studies to 12 VA work studies.
Nice.
I always call them, they're my little force multipliers, my little worker
Yeah.
bees on the ground. I would not be able to succeed without my student workforce because, again, we're a small office, and they allow me to keep my office open so I can go to meetings and actually
Mhm.
work with our internal and external stakeholders.
Yeah.
That's huge. I didn't even think about that. Just the
Yeah.
ability to keep the office open. And
Yeah.
all right, so you ready, Dr. Harry? You want to hear about this?
Go ahead. I know you've been waiting.
All right, so you have a special class
Yep.
that is for veterans only, not even the military affiliates. It's veterans only. So go ahead and tell us about this. I love this, and would love to see more universities do something like this because I think the impact is huge.
Yeah, thank you. We have a program called Short Ithica, A Soldier's Journey Home, and the class that these students take is called Worlds of Homer. We have a non-military Worlds of Homer, so anyone from my school watching, I do want to emphasize that we have 2 Worlds of Homer. One is for military population only. The other one is for everyone else. But this class is for current service members and veterans, and what we do is we read the Homer writings, so the Iliad, the Odyssey, and then we read 3 other books: Odysseus in America, Achilles in Vietnam, and Retire the Colors. And the whole purpose of this class is to compare and contrast the themes of military service, duty, honor, homecoming. What's moral injury? How did the ancient Greeks talk about it to modern day military topics? And you'll find nothing's changed. We all talk about the same thing. We all had the same issues. They were just more poetic in their version of talking about it. The veteran community now is very more blunt and like, I have this problem. But back then it was more of, we don't talk about our feelings. And what's nice about this class is it includes a faculty-led program over to Greece during spring break. And through a generous donor in my office and a couple other offices, it's mostly free for all our students. The only thing our students have to pay for are their lunches, a couple museums, but out of pocket cost for them is about $250, $300, and they get about a 10-day trip to Greece.
And so while you're doing this trip to Greece, what is involved in that piece? Because going to Greece alone is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But so what all is going on during that part?
We are very busy while we're over there, and I always like to say when I interview the students for the class that they're interested, I'm like, remember, when you're on my dime, you're on my time. This is not a vacation. You're not a tourist. This is academic based, and they are busy basically 8:30 a.m. to almost 9 p.m. doing stuff. So we visit areas. We start in Athens, then we go to Naphtali, Sparta, Olympia, then over to Ithaca, then back to Athens. So we're not in the same hotel for 10 days. I think the longest we're in a hotel consistently is 2 days, maybe 3 days. So we're touring sites. We're learning about the importance of these sites. And at night, we break out into groups and we have discussions. The professor I go with, his name is Dr. David Rosell. He's the primary professor of this class. He's the one that teaches all the Greek, blends the Homer writings into the military themes. I come in as a background to help him out with the military aspect since he never served. So we tag team this while we're over there. And at night, I have a group that we do breakout sessions, and he has a group that does breakout sessions. So first night we're there, we just have a simple conversation of, why'd you serve? why
Mm-hmm.
did you join? And like I was telling Sean before, um, like I'm the only combat vet on this past trip, and you'll see the reasons for joining are definitely not like for God and country. It's more like I was escaping home. I had nowhere to
Mm-hmm.
go. I need money. I need benefits. I need insurance. So
Yep.
definitely generational differences. We've had students as young as 19 because they're current service members, and I think our oldest ever completed the class was 45. And it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty enlightening seeing their like transition. And we get into some very heavy themes over there. Some
Yep.
nights, PTSD, moral injury. We have a whole
Mm-hmm.
night just talking about gender and homosexuality within the military. Like
Yep.
again, when I served, don't ask, don't tell was a thing, and women were not allowed in combat. So now talking to this newer generation, they're like, oh, we never even thought about that. We thought this was just normal. So it's pretty fun talking to them about all these different themes.
I, I love this doctor here. I mean,
I'm falling out my chair because I was reaching to my bookshelf in case anyone was
Yep.
wondering what the books were that they were talking about
Hmm.
here. Here you
Yep.
there
go.
you go.
And
Yeah.
yep.
And you probably have the last one there.
Oh yeah,
But
it's this one right
yeah, I was like, that's too far. I'm going to fall out my chair. So let me
there.
not reach any further. But so for the audience, my dissertation was on moral injury. And again, these two books were obviously the bread and butter of
Hmm.
that, informing it. And in a lot of my work, it comes up working with student veterans in the community. I think it's such a vital piece of the conversation. Um, and to have that in that realm where you're supported obviously by a veteran and an academic with the literature piece of it, it's just a beautiful way to again welcome the conversations, to meet everybody where they are, and just say it's okay to talk about these things.
Hmm.
And again, even if you probably, as you said, in those deep conversations during those trips, people are going to be at different levels of where they're at with it, but at the same time, it's like now there are others around you, and if and when you have somebody to reach out to. I mean, that class, I agree, should be everywhere. It's a model for what can be done.
Hmm.
um, with that, are students allowed to enroll with it outside of your institution, or is it only those enrolled at your school? Because I'm sure
It's
people will wonder.
it's only for now. It's only enrolled at our institution, but we've been talking to other schools on how to duplicate this. One of
Mhm.
our dreams for me and the professor is other schools do this, and we all meet up at the same time over there.
Nice.
So, because what's nice is we kind of tell them, and they realize halfway through, I'm like, you guys, this is like a mini deployment for you because they eat together, they sleep together basically in the same hotel. They're doing everything together, so they're with each other that vast majority of the day. And we're like, well, this would be nice if we can spread out to other schools eventually.
Hmm.
But of course, the biggest obstacle to this is the donor part. It
Yeah.
is pretty expensive. We're
Yeah.
very fortunate enough. We have a very generous donor that supported us. This past trip was our 8th time doing this program, and it's been getting better every year.
We should find a way to get you the full experience and fly over there in the back of a C-130.
Oh no. Well, and like, so the professor, the reason why he kind of created this class back in 2017, he had a student, what was either 2015 or 16, his first veteran student go over with him on another Greece trip, not related to this class. And students like, this is my first time internationally that wasn't military related.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly say for me, the only besides Canada and the Caribbean, the only time I've ever been international was Iraq, Kuwait, Germany, or Ireland, the layovers. So for me, this is still my only time I've ever been international. And what's nice about this class is how it evolves. Before is mainly focused on the combat veteran. Knock on wood, we're not really in combat anymore. So how do we keep this class going? Our Guard and Reserve population, they have a identity crisis. They
Hmm.
don't know where they fit in, and I tell them like, look, you're in Greece. The the formations of the Greek military were militia based, the Guard. So I'm like, you're in the bread and butter of what the Guard came from, and citizen soldiers, literally the Greeks, and kind of comparing and contrasting that. And like for example, we had a student that her one of her issues was like a lost identity. She's like, I joined to be a water purifier, but during COVID, all I did was stack bodies in a freezer trailer. So
Hmm.
she's like, I didn't join for this. How do I keep doing my military job? And I'm hurt. And I'm like, that's moral injury. That's not PTSD. That's moral injury. Like you're
Hmm.
having this crisis. So it's pretty cool to talk about.
I love it, and there's so many different avenues that you've been able to touch with this, and you can
Hmm.
tell Doctor here by looking at him that he hates the fact that he has to sacrifice and go to Greece once a year.
Oh no.
Obviously. I think VET S.O.S may want to shadow this. It would be a great feature.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah. Full blown expose on it.
Thank you.
no. Again, I think there's a. I've talked to a lot of veterans that are like, I just don't know. Yeah, they served outside the combat times. It's again, where do I fall within even the military community at this point, and things like that. So I think it's a great way to connect people across generations and other things, and again, exploring new and creative ways to support the community. Again, this is something that people may not have thought about. Like, is this something students are grappling with in our classes and their experience of being a student? And, again, it's that creative piece of really meeting the community where they are. And I think it's a great thing. So.
No, thank you. And it's definitely about blending the humanities. Veterans tend not to go towards the humanities.
Yep.
So it's about blending the humanities part of higher education into this. And I'm honestly surprised every cohort we have. I'm like, wow, you actually can speak fluently. Like, you're not just the person you are I see in the lounge, but you have thoughts. Like, you can describe them. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we can keep talking about this, but we can't because it is a time limited show. So I really want to thank you for coming on, Michael. It is always a pleasure to see you. So, and sharing your program with us. I do hope schools reach out to you to learn more about it, and obviously our community to reach out about potentially being a student there. On behalf of the VET S.O.S family, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You can find the VET S.O.S podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, social media, and make sure you subscribe and follow VET S.O.S so you don't miss a thing. Remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the VET S.O.S lifeline.
Thank you.